right, welcome to this week's Retail Reality Check. We're going to dive right into the tech that's actually changing how you and I shop right now. Let's do it. And hey, this week's review is brought to you by our friends at IHL Group. They're a top-notch retail analyst firm out of Franklin, Tennessee. You should definitely check out their work at ihlservices.com for more deep dives like this. So you got to ask, right? How fast is retail actually changing? I mean, for real. Well, forget the hype. The tech being installed this week, that's what tells the real story. And it's happening now. First up, let's talk about the AI-powered enterprise. And listen, we are way past just talking about chatbots. This is about AI getting baked right into the DNA of these companies. All right, check this out. PepsiCo. They're using AI in their factories for what they're calling smart packaging. What does that mean? It means their manufacturing lines are literally optimizing themselves. We're talking about a system that can tweak over 300 different settings on its own, in real time, to pump out more product and create less waste. I mean, that is a game changer for efficiency. And it's not just about the factory floor. Look at what BMW is doing. They had this massive headache moving 10,000 data dashboards to the cloud. Doing it by hand would have taken something like 10 days for each one. Can you imagine? Now, with generative AI, they're knocking it out in just a few hours. That's just insane. They're basically fast-forwarding their own modernization. Okay, let's switch gears to groceries. Wakefern, the company behind ShopRite, is using something called Agentic AI. So what is that? Think of it like giving your AI an intern who can actually do stuff, not just run reports. This AI helps their buyers with everything from forecasting what's needed to picking the right vendors and even sorting out supply chain problems. For fresh food where every minute counts, that's huge. And then you've got these huge strategic moves. ASDA, a big name in hygiene and health, isn't just dipping their toes in. They're building a whole AI center of excellence with Accenture and Microsoft. And they're starting right at the core, using AI to completely rethink how they handle things like procurement and finance. Okay, so that's what's happening behind the scenes. But what about when you walk into a store? That brings us to our next big thing, reinventing the in-store experience. Tesco's got a pretty clever two-part plan here. You know their scan-as-you-shop service? Well, they're testing shopping carts with built-in scales to make sure what you scan is what you got. Pretty smart. At the same time, their app is getting an upgrade. It'll now sort your shopping list based on the store's aisle layout. No more backtracking for the milk. And this tech is popping up in some really cool places. Get this, a Premier League soccer club, the Wolverhampton Wanderers, has a pop-up store with Amazon's Just Walk Out tech. You just walk in, grab a jersey or a scarf, and walk out. It's all charged automatically. Can you imagine how awesome that is on a packed match day? No lines, just grab and go. Meanwhile, down in Central America, a retailer called Mega Super is fixing one of the most annoying parts of self-checkout. You know, when you have to look up the code for your apples or bananas? Well, their new system uses AI to just look at the produce and know what it is. Instantly, finally. And in the fashion world, the Scandinavian group Varner is basically killing the cash register. They're giving their staff handheld devices so they can do everything, right there on the floor with you. Check stock, ring you up, the whole deal. No more waiting in line at a counter. Okay, so all this tech is amazing, it really is, but here's the reality check, the big but. Does any of this cool AI or walkout tech really matter if you go to the store and the one thing you need isn't even on the shelf? And that brings us to a really critical point from Buzek over at IHL Group. He says, look, for the last 10 years, everyone's been obsessed with digital transformation. But all the while, the simple act of knowing what you have in stock and keeping it on the shelf has been getting worse, and it's killing profits. His research is clear. This stuff, what he calls shelf intelligence, isn't just a cool feature anymore. It's a competitive necessity. So what's the price tag for failing at this? Get ready for it. Research from IHL and Scandit shows that the money lost every single year because of out-of-stocks is $1.73 trillion with a T. That's not just a number. That's the massive, fundamental problem that everything else in retail rests on. And that, of course, leads right into our next big theme, winning the on-demand race. Because, hey, if you can't find it on the shelf, what's the next thing you do? You want it delivered. And you want it fast. Look at what Sweetgreen is doing. They're totally rethinking their whole setup. They've launched their first ever drive-thru. They're calling it the Sweet Lane.
And it's designed to connect their automated infinite kitchen tech directly to a super smooth, super fast pickup for all those digital orders. Over in the UK, the grocery chain ASDA is doubling down on speedy delivery. They just signed a big multi-year deal with Uber Direct. Basically, they're tapping into Uber's network to get groceries, even big orders, to people's homes at lightning speed from way more locations.
And it's not just for groceries. Even a classic brand like 100 Flowers is getting in on the action, partnering up with DoorDash. It's a brilliant move, right? It takes them from a planned purchase to an impulse, oh no, I forgot kind of purchase. Perfect for last-minute gifts. All right, so you've got the product, you can get it to the customer. Now you've got to make it easy for them to pay. That's our last topic for today, seamless payments and loyalty. Down in Australia, the department store David Jones is doing something really smart with their loyalty program. They're giving you a choice. For the first time ever, you can pick, do you want store points or do you want Qantas airline points? Giving customers that kind of control is a huge deal. And speaking of flexibility, the sneaker and athletic store Hibbett is adding more buy now, pay later options like Affirm and Afterpay. This is becoming table stakes now. It's all about giving shoppers more ways to manage their budget, which, is a really big deal for boosting sales, especially heading into the holidays. So what's the big takeaway from all this? The real reality check is that this transformation, it's not something that's coming soon. It's here. It's happening right now in every corner of retail. And believe me, what we talked about today is just the tip of the iceberg. There are over 40 more stories like this from just this week. To get the whole picture, you got to go to ihlservices.com. And that leaves just one last question for you to think about. When you see all this change, this incredible speed from the factory all the way to a customer's doorstep, you have to ask yourself, is your business keeping up?